next 2 decades, doesn't appear to buy into climate science and suggests the climate emergency is fake. Our Scotland correspondent Kieran Jenkins is in Aberdeen for us tonight. Kieran.
Yeah, if the UK is going to meet its net zero target, then the vast oil and gas industry out there in the North Sea is going to have to play its part. And the government wants that industry, the UK government, to be on board. But what if the chief exec of an oil company has serious doubts, not just about the science behind climate change, but the scale of the problem? This is our exclusive report.
The North Sea, home to one of the UK's great challenges on the path to net zero by 2050. Millions of barrels of oil and gas are extracted from beneath these waters each week. And the UK government now wants the industry's help to reach its climate goals. But tonight we reveal one of the oil executives involved in that mission believes, in his own words, that the climate emergency is fake. New research from climate journalists D-Smog and the think tank Commonwealth, shared exclusively with Channel 4 News, shows how big household names in fossil fuel, like BP, Shell, Total, have been selling off many North Sea oil and gas licenses, allowing smaller, more obscure companies to emerge, including one called Orcadian Energy.
Now, Orcadian Energy is a relatively new player in the North Sea, but it holds the licenses for huge reserves out there. And a further investigation by this programme has discovered that its chief executive is an unlikely partner in the drive to net zero. Not least because he said recently that the drive to net zero is insane.
Orcadian Energy's website boasts proudly of its green credentials. It believes it can dramatically reduce the carbon emissions involved in extracting North Sea oil, and it plans to extract a lot of it. Orcadian's CEO is Steve Brown.
Good afternoon, everyone.
He wants to pump out up to 250 million barrels of oil at profit into the 2040s.
We'd be up around 45,000 barrels a day for a good number of years.
But what does this oil exec really think about climate change? Mr. Brown agreed to an interview with this programme, then suddenly pulled out and deleted his Twitter account. We can reveal those hastily deleted tweets suggest Orcadian Energy's chief executive is not a supporter of climate science. He tweeted the widely discredited claims that the main cause of climate change is solar activity, and CO2 emissions, he said, are likely benign, when in fact scientists say burning fossil fuels is the main cause of climate change. Mr. Brown also appeared to suggest Sir David Attenborough was an idiot for his position on the climate. In response, Orcadian Energy told us what individuals believe is irrelevant. What really matters is the significant work Orcadian Energy has done and is doing to make its proposed development scheme as clean as possible. Orcadian also says it's been very innovative and claims its emissions in extracting the oil will be less than 1/6 of the North Sea average.
And Orcadian and Steve Brown have big ambitions. They have their sights on 250 million barrels of untapped oil. That's about a third the size of reserves at the controversial Cambo oil field project off the coast of Shetland. The campaigners, of course, are desperate to stop.
Climate campaigners are dismayed.
It should raise alarm bells for all of us because the government has entrusted the contribution that this industry will make to helping us get to our net zero targets. And these are the sorts of people that it's entrusted that to, and we absolutely shouldn't be giving them the level of support that we currently are.
Orcadian claims one of those supporters is the fossil fuel giant Shell. Orcadian says Shell's trading arm has invested £1 million in the company. Shell hasn't addressed this in its response, but says tackling climate change is the biggest challenge the world faces. Our strategy sets out how Shell can and must play a leading role to meet that challenge. Then there's the industry regulator, the Oil and Gas Authority, which has brought in new climate requirements. So can it work with a CEO who appears to deny the causes of climate change? The regulator told us it requires the oil and gas industry to operate in a way consistent with net zero ambitions, and it's holding industry to account on emissions reductions targets and energy transition commitments. It says we have one of the strictest systems of regulation in the world.
So we've done a great job of reducing our emissions.
Sure enough, Steve Brown has welcomed the regulator's new climate targets, which aim to reduce emissions in extracting oil by 50% by 2030. But it hasn't set the industry targets to reduce emissions from the burning of that oil, which is around 12 times more polluting, to the outrage of campaigners.
So is anything stopping those who hold North Sea licences from pumping out as much oil as they can?
No, there's certainly nothing stopping them. In fact, they're actively encouraged to do so under the UK government's current framework, which is to maximise economic recovery of oil and gas.
The North Sea oil and gas industry may be breaking up into smaller parts, but some investors still spy profits for years to come. As Arcadian Energy's CEO put it in another of his deleted tweets, it's drill, baby, drill.
Now, you might have heard that the UK government will put new oil exploration licences to a climate test, unlike Denmark and France, which are banning them entirely. But a lot of the existing licences have years left to run in any case, and as you heard in that report, companies plan to go on drilling and developing new sources of oil into the 2040s, which is awfully close to that 2050 net zero target. And it invites the question, to what extent does the UK intend to remain a major oil and gas producing nation for years to come? And by chance, the Chancellor was in Scotland today visiting a wind farm where he claimed the UK's record in phasing out fossil fuels was second to none.
Thanks, Kieran. Kieran in Aberdeen.